How you prepare for a golf tournament?
Well, I hit balls maybe 20 minutes, putt a little bit, smoke 4 or 5 cigarettes, drink 3 Diet Cokes, and go to the first tee. Some days I won't even go to the range.
All right, here we go. Episode 153 of the Daily Puck Drop DPD. As always, we thank you for watching and listening. If you're on YouTube, please leave the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Also there on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast here at pucksports.com. Search that anywhere. It's the Daily Puck Drop. If you're new to it, we give you about 25, 30 minutes of the top hard-hitting local sports news of the day and anything and everything that kind of comes inside my head. We try to entertain you here on your morning, your afternoon, your evening, whenever you devour the Daily Puck Drop. Again, hashtag DPD. I know it's real smart on my part. Episode 153. It's amazing. We've done 153 of these. We appreciate the support in any way that you can provide it. So thank you very much for being along the ride here on the Daily Puck Drop every single day, Monday through Friday, 30 minutes or so. We release it every single day at 10 a.m. if you are curious. Also, daily guests every single day that release at 1 o'clock. And it's Wednesday as we record this, June 12th. That means it is Ryan Divish Day of the Seattle Times, all brought to you by Chalet Bowl. And what a great time to have Ryan Divish on. Obviously, with all the news that came out yesterday there from T-Mobile regarding Bryan Woo, we're going to touch on that one here in a quick second. Let me give you a scammer update. Yesterday, we detailed I was scammed. I was scammed because I'm an idiot. The U.S. Postal Service, not their fault. Someone is scamming them, and it's a scam, I guess, that has been going on for weeks and months, and I heard from a lot of people saying, I got that. That happened to me. Our good friend, and I believe Daily Puck Drop and DPD listener, Adam Lewis, he said it happened to him. Now, I'm wondering if Adam's like, you didn't need to tell everyone that it happened to me, but I apologize. But yeah, even Adam said, it didn't happen to me. It's probably happened to a lot of you. My son left his glove real quickly down in Vancouver, Washington. We were there for a graduation party, and I called my buddy. I said, hey, can you set it up? He's got practice this week, please, before we get into some games and stuff for our All-Star League. And so he set it up there, and then I get a text yesterday saying, oh, insufficient address. Click Y or reply Y and fill out the credit card information. You owe 2 cents. I'm thinking 2 cents. What the hell do I need to owe 2 cents for? But it was like right before I was recording this, I got into a panic and I did it. And then I kept entering my credit card information, and it kept saying, no, you got to re-enter it. And then I did it again. I did it like 3 or 4 times, all saying that it didn't work. And then at that point, I texted my buddy and I said, hey, what's the deal? Are you getting any notifications that it didn't arrive or there's an issue with the address? And he goes, no, you're an idiot, though. You're getting scammed, you moron. Then I look at the text and it's like 014869XYZ Hotmail. And I look at myself and then I go look in the mirror and I go, you really are a village idiot. And I mean that in the kindest way, Jason, that you really are a putz. And most people agree, including the CEO of the household. Everybody agrees. A real dipstick over here. We avoided, I believe, any damage. Quickly was able to put the cards on hold and then, of course, cancel them. But now I got the whole other mess of that now, is that when I get the new cards, I got to put all the new information in and all the different things you have and subscriptions and websites and all that kind of stuff. So take an L over here, the GOAT of the week, this guy right here. Let's switch gears over to the Mariners. Boy, that's just terrible news about Bryan Woo, and we'll get more information from Divish coming up later today when he joins us, and again we'll release that at 1 o'clock. Hell, you know what? Let me know on the DPD. You want that released before 1 o'clock? You want and how about this is an open-ended now question to you, the viewers and listeners, because this is for you. You want them released, all of them released before 1 o'clock? I mean, because they're done before 1. I just kind of wait until 1 o'clock to put them out there. But it's up to you. You guys decide. When do you want them out there? As soon as they're done? let me know there in the comment section. But we'll talk to Divish today, and we'll get the very latest there about Bryan Woo, which is it's just terrible news on Woo. I hope it's nothing serious. I hope that they're just being cautious with him. But this is something that has happened to him over and over again in his brief career. He's going to have an MRI on that right elbow. Remember, he missed the first 6 weeks of the season with inflammation in that elbow. He had a 3-week stint on the injured list last year with a similar issue. He had Tommy John surgery when he was in college back there in 2021. And so, yeah, you want to be glass half full, right? Especially me. I'm a glass half full guy. You want to be, but man, it just feels ominous. It feels something bad is going to happen. Scott Service met with the media yesterday and had this to say about the extent of the injury and the situation with Bryan Woo.
Didn't feel great. Didn't throw a bullpen between starts. Came in yesterday, and we had some concerns, so we started talking about where do we go if he wasn't able to post. And last night we just decided to give him a blow and skip the start. Where does this go with Bryan? Bryan is we'll just have to wait and see. He's getting some tests done. Doctors look at it. I'm hoping to stay away from an IL stint, but we'll know more here the next day or so. So I don't know when he's going to get injected back into the rotation. I have no timeline, anything like that. I'm just trying to put it together and figure out a way to win the ball game tonight.
That's a big thanks to Ryan Divish for that audio as Scott Service meeting with the media yesterday, talking about the situation there with Bryan Woo. So, fingers crossed that there's nothing bad there, that the MRI comes back clean, and maybe he just needs a few days off. Jen Mueller, Root Sports, shout out Jen, said that she saw him in the clubhouse and that he was in good spirits and looked upbeat and was smiling. So, perhaps not. Perhaps it's okay, right? Perhaps it's nothing too serious, and they just want to be cautious with them. It's weird with these arm injuries. I don't know what the right thing or the wrong thing is anymore. I don't know. Do you throw these guys more so they build up more arm strength? We'll talk to Kruger on Monday, and he'll be screaming and yelling at the clouds probably about that. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know why there are so many more arm injuries now in baseball than there's ever been before. I guess it's the trying to rear back and get as much velocity as you possibly can, trying to get so much spin on the ball, to break it so there's so much more torque on the elbow and the shoulder and the forearm and all that stuff. I don't know. But guys, there was plenty of guys back in the day threw hard. Nolan Ryan threw hard. Randy Johnson threw hard. Not to the degree of these guys, because all these guys, but they were touching the same miles per hour that these guys are now. But they, and the technology now, I think the medical, the routines, the workouts, they're all in better shape now. They all have more information on how to take better care of themselves than they did 15, 20, 30 years ago. But it just feels like, man, especially this year, more and more injuries left and right. And is it a cause of overuse? Is it a cause of underuse? That maybe that they don't throw as much during the off season, or they ramp up for spring training and then they get to the regular season, then it's go time, and then they don't have enough strength built up in their arm. I don't know. You can leave a comment. Hit me up, pucksports.com, pucksports.com. I don't know any amateur baseball coaches out there, high school, college coaches that may be watching, listening. What do you think the reason is? Because I don't know. You just hear it from both sides about when it comes to arms for pitchers. They need to throw more. They need to throw less. They need to be more cautious. They need to be less cautious. I think a lot of people are just kind of flabbergasted of how to go about it and try to solve this issue with these arms. But because they were very cautious with Bryan. They didn't run him into the ground. That was a lot of people getting upset about Bryan Woo, right? I understood where they were coming from with him, of taking it easy with him. But the problem with someone like Woo is you get tantalized with how he throws. And you're like, all right, well, let's ramp him up a little bit more. He's at 75 pitches. Well, he can get to 80, he can get 85. Because his last outing was the most amount of pitches that he threw was 85. So it's some potentially bad news, but fingers crossed. We're going to be here at pucksports.com. This guy, I'm going to be glass half full on Bryan Woo. Nothing too serious. They were a little worried. They pulled him. He's A-okay. He's A-okay, please. But, God, I remember this whole thing with Brash. I wanted to be glass half full with Brash, and then it was like, just kind of felt inevitable that it was going to happen there with Matt Brash, and hoping it's not inevitable, there with Bryan Woo, because statistically, he has been pitching the best on this staff, which continues to just be awesome. 9-1 in their last 10 games at home with that win yesterday. They had to rally one more time thanks to the big dumper. 23-11 at home, fourth best record in Major League Baseball, which is just incredible. And it's awesome because it's always fun to win at home. 9 games over 500, 6.5 games up on Texas. So they're starting to get fat like me with a lead. Starting to expand their lead a little bit, starting to give themselves a little bit of breathing room. Still got 2 more against this terrible team. But how about an easy victory? Would it be okay? Permission from the audience. Would it be okay just to get an easy victory maybe today and tomorrow and not have to sweat these things out in the 7th and 8th inning? Is it okay? Please. Sweet baby Mariners Jesus offense. Can we just score a bunch of runs there in the beginning of the game, and then we don't have to worry about trying to rally against these guys? Okay? They're terrible. Can we just beat them right away and not have to worry about it until the damn 8th inning of the game? Because that's it. And this heart can't take it. Okay, I just can't take it anymore. You get Cannon and Bryce Miller is the pitching matchup today or later tonight for the M's and the White Sox as they get Game 3 of that 4-game series. The total, because the Bet M's under summer tour continues. The line yesterday was it 7 or 6.5? 7. I got to make sure I double check on that one. I believe it was 7 yesterday. And so it was a push. So I unofficially, because someone's got to fact check me on that one. I can't remember now if it was 7 or 6.5. I should know this. This is bad that I don't know this. But I'm pretty sure it was 7. So we'll say unofficially with the push, 18, 20, and 2 now on the season on the Bet M's under summer tour continues. The line today total is 7.5. So again, we're always taking the under. Miller versus Jonathan Cannon is the pitching matchup today, therefore, the M's and the White Sox Game 3 of that series. A couple of things that was cool to see last night, even though he looked like he got shaken up there a bit. Julio, a couple of steals. God, I'd love him to steal even more bags, just even be more aggressive. You know, the power numbers aren't quite there for Julio. And hopefully as the summer gets going and the weather heats up and all that kind of stuff, right, that he gets going from a power standpoint with the home runs and the doubles and all that kind of stuff. But he's hitting a lot of singles, a lot of infield singles. As Kruger always says, he's kind of he's the Latin version right now of Ichiro, the right-handed version of Ichiro. Is that when he gets on base, I'd like him to be a little bit more aggressive on the bases and steal a couple bags, and he did that last night. Because speed kills in any sport, and especially in the sport of baseball, and he is as fast as anyone here in this sport. We go back to Cal Raleigh for a second. You know us on this show. This is the Cal Raleigh show of record. We love ourselves some Cal Raleigh and the Big Dumper, and we've said it many, many times, and we're going to repeat it until we're just blue in the face. He's not the best player on the team, but he's the most important player on the team. I will hold that true throughout because he is. And whenever they can get a deal done for him would be real nice as soon as they possibly can there for Cal Raleigh because he does it all. and he does it all in the clutch when this team needs him. You know, we much discussion here in the last 24, 48 hours about the late close stats with Julio Rodriguez and the perception of it, because it's not as bad as we think, but maybe it's not as great as we think as well. But Cal Raleigh, I don't know if there's any interpretation of what he does. His late close stats this year, Baseball Reference, 275. He's slugging 650. He's got an OPS over 1,000. 4 home runs and 18 RBIs and 3 doubles. He's got 7 extra base hits in late and close games. I think that's the difference if we want to compare Julio, because from a number standpoint, an average, and you would say, oh, it's pretty good there for Julio, because he's got a 424 batting average in late and close stats, OPS of 987, but he just has the 1 extra base hit, the home run. That's it. I mean, everything else is a single. And I guess the difference in these clutch moments. And it's not to say that Julio, I guess, looking at the numbers, you can't argue that you would say that he's not clutch, because look at his numbers. I mean, 424 doesn't lie. It's how you get that hit, though. I mean, a guy of his stature needs to be doing more than just singles. It's not why you paid him. That's not why he's a superstar in this league, is to hit singles. It's not that you're not going to take the single. Obviously you are, like the other day on that single that probably should have scored JP. That's great. That's awesome. You're not penalizing for it, but you want more. You want more out of it. You want his late close numbers to you want him to resemble what Cal Raleigh does. And what Cal Raleigh's done this year, the 4 home runs and the 3 doubles, and has driven in 18 runs. That's what you want. And slugging 650. Those are the type of numbers you want to see from Julio Rodriguez. You see it from Cal, and Cal just has that. Players have it in all different sports. Just that it factor, that clutch factor. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean they're the best player on the team. And again, we'll make that argument here. He's not the best player on the team. But boy, man, there is no other player on the Mariners that, with the game on the line and you need a big hit, there's no other player you wouldn't pass the bat to than him. He's the number 1 player, and it's not even close. If we did a poll, I'll even do a poll question. Who would the player be that you'd put the bat in if you could choose one player with the bases loaded or a runner on second, just however you want a game-winning hit? Who would you have at the plate? I think it's 100% Cal Raleigh. Why would you vote differently? How could you? Just look at what he's done in his career and all the big moments he's had. So just another great moment there for Cal Raleigh last night. We'll hear the injury situation with Bryan Woo later, coming up with Brian Divish. Also, Andres Munoz, kind of where is he at right now? Right now with Andres Munoz. And is there any way they can pull off a trade right now for Luis Robert Jr.? Why let him leave? Why just pull? There's nothing that prevents the Mariners from making a deal now on June 12th. Why not just do it now? He's in your city. He's in your town. Just pick up the phone to the White Sox. Say, hey, we want him. Here you go. Let's get him now, so we have even a longer time with him. And just let's pull the trigger right now and do it. I mean, the Dodgers just made a move here with the Blue Jays for Biggio, giving them some help there on the bench. And you watch Biggio is going to turn into a goddamn all-star with those guys. And nothing prevents you from striking early, Jerry and Justin. Save yourself a plane trip of him coming back here, less than a month or a month-ish, right? Come on, pull the trade down. Just give him a Mariners uniform right now. Hang up the Mariners uniform in his locker as we speak. We'll move on to the Seahawks. Minicamp continues. A couple of cool things coming out of minicamp. An announcement, something that we haven't seen here in Seattle for a very long time. I think you guys actually got to go back to the 80s when the Titans were, I think, the Houston Oilers. I think they played one of these scrimmages, joint practices in the Tacoma Dome. But they have scheduled joint practices with the Titans in Nashville. I love it. August 14th and 15th. right before their preseason game on August 17th. You don't see Seattle do this a lot. Geographically, they can't really. There's nobody close to them. You see this a lot more, in the South, a lot more in the East Coast, because teams are, hour, less than 2 hours away from each other. That's certainly not the case here. So that's a really cool idea there by Mike McDonald. He did note that one thing you got to watch with these joint practices or fights, there will be a fight. It always happens. There's always a fight. There's always a fisticuff in one of these scrimmages. I would put DK Metcalf in bubble wrap for the scrimmages, especially like his hands, and just say, if you can catch the football with bubble wrap around your hands, good for you. Because just something tells me in this joint practices, there's going to be a flare-up, and that flare-up is going to involve number 14, DK Metcalf. Other news that came out of the minicamp yesterday, which was day one, and it continues here for a couple more days. And this is something that we've been on here for, the last month or so, and we'll talk to Rob Staten about it on Thursday, when we do our football shows, also with Mike Garafolo on Thursday's podcasts here at pucksports.com, is the linebacker issues. They got a real issue with these linebackers. And it's not so much the play, it's just the health. I mean, Tyrell Dodson, their middle linebacker, he's got an undisclosed injury. Mike McDonald said yesterday, quote, "Right now we're shooting for camp." We're shooting for camp? That doesn't sound reassuring to me. He said also, we won't see him the rest of minicamp. So we haven't seen anything from Tyrell Dodson, their linebacker. Not a thing. And when I first read those comments in the paper today from the great Bob Condota, right now we're shooting for camp. That didn't make me feel good about his situation. And then the weak side linebacker, Jerome Baker, who they got from Miami, has been dealing with a wrist and knee injuries sustained last season, so he hasn't done anything. Again, hopefully he's ready for training camp and all that, but these are two guys that they didn't invest anything really into. It's just 1 year contract, so I guess you're okay. It's just what's behind them. You could tell me how great John Radigan's been so far in minicamp, but come on, he's a fourth-year player out of Army playing middle linebacker, and the other guys that would be a second-year player out of the University of Montana. I mean, they could be in a world of hurt at that linebacker position. Now, that's kind of McDonald's specialty, so maybe he can pull off a miracle. All right, moving on to the NBA. Sad news coming out of the association this morning. We're recording this just before 10 o'clock, and this came out, I want to say about 8:30. Jerry West passing away at the age of 86. Of course, many of you, if you're in my age group, we never got to see him play. Saw highlights of him. You know him because he's the logo of the league. You know him because he built the dynasty with the Lakers in the 80s with Magic and Kareem and James Worthy and all those guys and Pat Riley, and won 5 NBA titles. He was the architect of that second wave of titles that came with Phil Jackson and those guys. He was only around for the first one. But he's the one who put together the trade to get Shaquille O'Neal. He's the one that pulled off the draft day trade with Charlotte, I believe. Fact check me on that one. Charlotte, to acquire a Kobe Bryant. So he built that dynasty that ends up winning 3 in a row. And then, of course, later with Kobe, with a different cast, they win 3 more or 2 more. 2 more, I think, with Pau Gasol. He as great of a player as he was, and again, I've just seen highlights of this guy. There's some that would make an argument he's a better executive and a better ambassador for the NBA. He was a 12-time All-NBA player. It's just ridiculous. NBA Finals MVP. He won only 1 title. He went to the finals, though, 9 times. 9 times. Movie? Everybody should know that movie. 9 finals appearances. Again, built the Lakers, built the Shaq Kobe dynasty. He's in the Hall of Fame as a player. He's also in the Hall of Fame as a U.S. Olympic team. And then he will go in this year as a contributor. So a three-time member of the Hall of Fame. Jerry West, the logo, one of the best ever to do it on and off the court. Revered, admired by everyone in this sport. The logo passing away at the age of 86. Game 3 of the finals is tonight. We'll see if Kyrie Irving can get it back. Kristaps Porzingis got some knee injury that I have read it, and I I am not going to pronounce whatever this rare leg injury, knee injury that he has. It's serious enough that he was seen with the sleeve on his leg, a noticeable limp at practice. He is questionable for the game tonight. The NBA needs the Dallas Mavericks to win tonight to make this a compelling series, because the first two games just have not been all that compelling. It looked a little bit closer in game two, but really Boston was in full control. Both leagues right now, if you also look at the NHL with Florida and Edmonton right now, they need Edmonton to win too, does the NHL. One thing the leagues do not want are sweeps. Sweeps are not fun for anyone. Over to the U.S. Open. It is U.S. Open week. We'll touch on the fantasy golf pool is back. But the big news yesterday, Jon Rahm out of the U.S. Open. He's got an infection in his left foot, or he had a left foot injury that he sustained on the Live Tour when he was back there, I think, in the Houston event. And so he is out. He did do his press conference yesterday from Pinehurst to describe it. Some would say the interview or the press conference got a little confrontational. A lot of people were pressing him on his success or lack thereof success on the Live Tour. He shot it down, said, I've been plenty successful. A lot of top tens. I mean, you should be getting top tens, John. I mean, look at the field. If you aren't getting top tens in that pool of players, then something is really wrong. This has been, there's been a lot of players. I think DJ was number one for me as a golf fan. That I'm disappointed that it went to Live because of just not being able to see someone like Dustin Johnson play every single week, because I love Dustin Johnson. That number two and right behind him was this guy. I love Jon Rahm. I love the way he plays golf. I love the way he swings. I love the passion he plays with. I love how hot he runs on the course, and he just has a dramatic. He has a dramatic, quality to him of his play. And what's disappointing right now a little bit is because he's young and he's good and he's uber talented and he's won majors, right? He's won the Masters. Is that right now, Scottie Scheffler needs a main rival because he's just annihilating everybody on the PGA Tour. He needs a main rival who's close in age, and Jon Rahm is that guy, and he plays on a different tour. And I know there's some news that's come out here in the last 24 hours that the Saudis and the PGA Tour are close and have reached an agreement, and maybe something will have some news here shortly. So that's great for the world of golf to see these two go head-to-head consistently, because that's what Scottie Scheffler and that's what the world of golf is missing right now is Rahm and Scheffler going at it consistently, the two best players really in the world, even though that Rahm hasn't played like that. And Rahm hasn't played like that since he's gone to Live. After winning that Masters in 2023 and then said, I'll never join it and I'll never go there and all that, December of 23, he ends up joining Live. He's never won on the Live Tour. He has finished in the top 10 in some events, but he hasn't won over there. And a guy like that should be winning a lot. But since joining Live, when he tried to defend his Masters green jacket, he finished 45th. And he was like 20 shots or so behind Scheffler. And then he followed that up with missing the cut at the PGA. And now he's out of the U.S. Open with a foot injury. So financially, it's been a great decision for him because of all the $600 million or whatever he's getting. He's probably not going to regret that. But I think from a play standpoint, a legacy standpoint, I got to imagine he regrets that decision. He doesn't let it on that he does, but I just think some of the things that he says, God, I miss playing here, I miss playing there, tells me that he regrets it, that he chose a league that is unable at this point to play on some of those courses. Speaking of the U.S. Open, 2015. Doesn't that feel like ages ago? Next year will be 10 years. 10 years since the U.S. Open was at Chambers Bay. Is it ever coming back? No. It's never coming back. The U.S. Open and USGA has dates that are all the way out until 2042, I believe. 2043 is the next open date in the rotation for the U.S. Open. So 28 years. It's never going to come back. And that's unfortunate. At least the men's championship is never going to come back. Maybe they'll get a women's U.S. Open. I think they'll continue to probably do the amateur stuff. I think it'll be in the rotation. Well, it is always in the rotation for the amateur stuff for the USGA. For the big boy tournament, it's never coming back. And it just sucks. It's too bad. It's too bad they got a guy on there who is the chief executive course director, John Bodenhammer, who is from Tacoma. He runs the thing. And he can't convince the USGA to come back for the men's championship. And it's their fault. That's the problem that I have with it. And that everyone has with it. It's how Mike Davis and the USGA handled the course. And so then Chambers gets blamed for it for somehow. It was unseasonably warm back in 2015 if you were there. Okay? All they had to do was water the greens. That's it. They chose not to. They chose to let them burn out, and it killed it, and it made the greens bumpy, and it was all downhill after that. And it's terrible on so many different fronts because from a visual standpoint, how it looked on TV, it looked amazing. I love the course. I know there's some people out there who don't love the course, and maybe it's just because of the walk. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great test from a mental standpoint and a physical standpoint. And I think there's ways to trick out that course. The new greens are great. You know, they got rid of the fescue greens, and now they got what is native here, the Poana greens, which are going to be better here for the environment, all that kind of stuff. And we're getting golf dirty on you, but it is a course that can be now with the new greens even tricked out more in terms of making them fast, and if the weather shouldn't be that big of a factor, but it was back then. And the USGA is responsible for why it's not going to come back. There's nothing the city of Tacoma did or University Place or the course itself or anybody that worked there. It's not their fault. It's the fault of the USGA. They had record sales that year. It was also the first year that Fox had the coverage on it, so that was bad because that coverage was awful. Just in terms of the announcers, Joe Buck wasn't good. Greg Norman wasn't good. Had NBC been doing it, maybe we have a different view of it. I don't know. But clearly the greens and how the USG handled that ruined it. And then it ruined it to ever get the men's tournament back. And it's terrible because it was one of the great finishes in championship history of any major. The shot, forgive me, is it 16 or 17 of Jordan Spieth, the long putt? The drives or the second shots on 18 from both players. Just majestic, beautiful second shots into that gorgeous finishing hole, 18 at Chambers Bay, and that big, bowl of a green there. Of Dustin missing the putt. And the reaction afterwards and his I think if you didn't love him then or before you loved him then, his just reaction to it and how he reacted to his family. Hey, he would tell the story. I'm sitting in a golf car, sitting in the car going to the airport saying, hey, it's just a tournament. There'll be more. I don't know. It's too bad. But I can tweet out the list for itself, but it's all the way set. It's all the old courses, right? It's all the Pebbles, Pinehurst, Oakmont, it's all those courses. So they've made the decision to go more of the traditional courses and never go back to something new like Chambers. And it's too bad. It's real too bad. U.S. Open Fantasy Golf Pool is back. Speaking of the U.S. Open, go to pucksports.com. You'll see the link there. Click on it. It's free. It's easy. All you got to do is sign up. We got prizes again, as we always do. We'll do it one more time for the Open Championship. First place is $150 to John Howie Steak. Second place is $75 to Georgetown. Third place, a $50 gift card to Flatstick Pub. Go get it by midnight or by 3 a.m. tomorrow. But do it before midnight tonight. Do it before you go to bed tonight here on a Wednesday. Pucksports.com. U.S. Open Fantasy Golf Pool is back. All right, finally, we wrap it up with this. Hey, what the puck? John Wilner talked about this in his piece that he wrote yesterday. It is one of the dumbest decisions in the history of mankind, and it's come up again just because the college football playoffs are up, or excuse me, the Hall of Fame vote is up and nominees and all that kind of stuff. But I've known this. Many people have known this, that Mike Leach is not eligible for the college Hall of Fame, and it's just so stupid. He can appear on the ballot in 2026, but he's never going to appear on it until they change the rules. Because here's the criteria: you got a minimum of 10 years coaching. You got to coach at least 110 games with a winning, or I think it's 100 games. Maybe it's 110. But your winning percentage has got to be 600. Well, he's coached over 21 seasons. He's won 158 games. His career winning percentage is .596. He misses out to be eligible for the Hall of Fame by one game. One game. That's it. 16 seasons, 16 winning seasons in 21 years, 5 losing seasons at stops like Texas Tech, Washington State, and Mississippi State. Not exactly hotbeds of college football. No one has done more in college football in the last 30 plus years than Mike Leach. No one, you can make an argument, has done more in all of football, high school, college, NFL, than Mike Leach. No one. His offense is run everywhere. A hybrid of his offense is run everywhere. It has spawned coaches from his tree. It has spawned those coaches who have turned in players who have turned into all-pro winning Super Bowl quarterbacks in the NFL because of his air raid system. Now, he can go in as an outstanding contributor category. Fine, put him in that way. The Hall of Fame for college football is a joke if it does not include Mike Leach, and there's not anyone that would argue against that. One of the craziest scenes last night in the Reds game, did you see the video of the Reds fan jumping onto the field, running away from the cops, and then he did a backflip, and then once he did a backflip, he's running away from the cop who looked jacked like a freaking running back and chased him down and tased him? It is one of the best videos. And then there's a still shot from Getty Images that is great of the Reds fan doing a backflip, some bro like 25 years old, does a backflip, trying to get away from the cop, makes it about another 5 feet. That cop tases him right in the back. And so there's funny video of that. And then there's a Getty image of the guy getting tased. It is remarkable. Like, this picture is so freaking sweet. It's up on the blog page at pucksports.com. Go check it out. The video and the still shot from Getty Images. Go to pucksports.com under the blog page, and you'll check it out there. All right, that's Hey, What the Puck here on the Daily Puck Drop, hashtag DPD. Coming up later, we will talk to Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times. We'll get the very latest on the health of Bryan Woo, Andres Munoz, and other tidbits coming from the Human Pony gig a little bit later, pucksports.com. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, we promise to be better.